You are listening to Spaceboy Universe on the SBU network.
Explore the universe with Spaceboy and Sirlana.
32 minutes, 21 seconds.
Welcome to the best of Spaceboy Universe.
5-second tone.
Enjoy the show.
1 second pause.
You are listening to Spaceboy Universe.
Okay, gang, let's go.
From the space city called Houston, Texas, welcome to Spaceboy Universe, featuring Spaceboy and the lovely Sirlana. So strap in and prepare for launch sequence. And remember, it's Spaceboy's Universe, and you're in it.
Howdy, Space Cadets. It's your lovable Space Boy, and it is June 11, 2016. We're on show number 041, and tonight is our wonderful guest is Solaris BlueRaven, and we might take your calls if you're good enough. As always, if you'd like to follow the show, you can do that by going to @TheSBUniverse on Twitter. You can hashtag us your questions and answers at #SBU. And of course, Sirlana needs followers. Follow her on at @SSolana. That's SURLANA. You can always see us on Facebook. We're on Spaceboy Universe. I'm also Spaceboy Music. And if you want to follow the other Space Cadets, you can do so by going to spaceboyuniverse.com. At the top, there's the player. There's the chat bubble. It's doing its little dance. Click that, and you'll get to hang out with all the cool kids. Now, we recognize that you can't always hook up with us on a Saturday night, but that's fine. We have on demand. That's Spreaker, SoundCloud, YouTube, and iTunes. And man, I love podcasting. So, without any further ado, here's my lovely co-host, Sirlana.
Hey,
Hey, how are you?
what's up?
Hey, it's all good in the neighborhood, isn't it?
Sure.
I'm jazzed about tonight. I mean, it's not like we haven't talked to her, Solaris, several times this week, but
She's put up with us fantastically.
oh yeah, just, us bad kids. You know, how does she put up with us? Get off my lawn, you crazy kids. So, but yeah, we're gonna have her a little bit here in just a second as we go through our natural tradition of banter talk. So, do you have anything over there to talk about to get the show started?
I scrambled to look for some because I've been too busy to look this up. One thing I found that I thought was kind of funny was there may be a sequel to Goonies, a Goonies 2, according to Sean Astin. It's not dead, and I didn't really read about it, but it caught my attention because when the Goonies came out back in the day in the 80s, I had such a crush on Sean Astin.
Really?
Yeah. We're about the same age.
I think there was a few girls I knew that in that time period.
And my friend had a crush on Kirk Cameron, and I think they crossed over in one like made-for-TV movie or something.
Well, you know, the Goonies have been in kind of a development Hades, if you will. And it'll be nice to see them all come back and do that. You know, another thing, speaking of movies that, I was reading here with the comeback is Battlestar Galactica. You know, originally it was a TV show back in the 70s, and from there it went, more recent times, Sci-Fi picked it up and made a drama out of it. But then they've been wanting to do a movie based upon, I think, maybe the original. So from what I've heard, it's come out of development again, and they're trying to move forward on that. So some good classic shows, The Goonies, maybe we'll be making a comeback. And then
I noticed you saw a picture of the original Cylons. You said, that's another outfit I want.
Yeah, I know. It's funny. It's, as I can identify as a kid watching Battlestar Galactica, the original one, and those Cylons were just really cool as a kid watching that. So, yeah, between those two. But, Speaking of movies, Ghostbusters, going to Ghostbusters. We know that the new movie is going to be coming out next month, but also Cinemark is going to be releasing the 84 version back in the theaters on June the 8th.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like,
Go back to see it in the big screen.
See the original.
Take your kids that didn't see it the first time.
Yeah, that's something I always like, is take your kids to see movies that you got to see as a kid. And
on the big screen.
Yeah, on the big screen. Now, there's something I want to address, Sirlana, and you and I are big proponents about researching, and before we jump the gun, fact checking. There was a thing, especially going through Facebook, that Morgan Freeman had died, and a good friend of the show had posted that, and I'm like, that doesn't seem right, because I'm not getting, because I scour the world for news and everything, and I didn't see anything. So I came across this article, and apparently he was a victim of the death hoax that so many celebrities,
especially on Twitter,
and in Facebook. I tell the audience that, before jumping the gun, before you see somebody, when somebody posts something, don't take it at face value.
Just do a quick Google.
Do a quick Google. Snoops is a good place to go to verify. Snopes? Yeah, I'm sorry. There you go, correcting me always. Anyway, so, go out there, investigate the truth, and before you just follow the lemmings off the cliff. There's nothing wrong with making sure that you know what is the correct way, because you know what they always say, knowledge is power, right? According to G.I. Joe. Hey, did you see the that thing that it was from forgeoptical.com? Okay, you've seen the Google glasses, right?
Yeah, kind of.
Kind of cyborgish, whatever. Well, apparently this company, and keep in mind what I just said, the address. What address did I just say?
I got distracted. What'd you say?
LaForgeOptical.com.
Oh, is that Geordie LaForge?
Kind of, Star Trek-y, yeah. So these are glasses that are prescription glasses that you can, they look fairly hip looking.
So they're not a banana clip over the eye.
No, they're not a banana clip over the eye. They're actually optical. I mean, like if I wanted to get a pair, you could see how fast you're driving or how fast you're walking. You could see instant messages or tweets come up into your eye.
Just one more thing to stay distracted with.
Well, it's either that, looking down into something and then almost getting hit by a vehicle, or getting hit by a vehicle, because we've seen many of those videos, and or having your eyes up and then an eye up display kind of thing. I think it was a heads up. Yes, exactly. I was kind of reminded of Star Trek Deep Space Nine with the Dominion ships, how they used to have that little clip down thing.
The
Jem'Hadar.
The Jem'Hadar had that little thing, and only certain races of aliens could really make it work. Like humans could put it on, but he couldn't really. It gave him a headache, made him sick, so they had to.
But anyway, these glasses, they're legit glasses, and I mean they don't look like cyborg glasses. Like the Google glasses that had come out. And, of course, here's the kicker. You can own a pair, pre-order for $590.
Yeah, I'll take two.
I can only imagine that that's the frames and not the lenses.
Yeah, because the lens is going to be another $500.
Exactly. But anyway, that's if you want to check that out, LaForgeOptical.com. So, giving you an opportunity, a chance to buy a new house, Sirlana. Would you buy the Amityville Horror House?
No, because it's got too much notoriety, and there would be people there,
So because the house is up for sale now.
Why invite trouble?
Well, for you, it's more, I guess, sightseeing and not the actual history of the house. Would you say that?
Yeah, because I think it's probably too many people know about it and would be there taking pictures and on your lawn. Well,
indeed it is. It's available for sale. I don't know what the asking price is, but you wouldn't get me to move into that house. But yeah, that's up. Let's see here. Anything else? Oh, there's a new movie coming to Netflix on the 15th called Stranger Things. I've seen it. It looks like a classic Spielberg movie from the 80s. I can't describe it any more than that. You just have to go out there and check for the video. Because the video is worth 2,000 words than the words I can give you right now. But just trust me, this looks like a movie you want to check into and check out on Netflix. Finally,
you're almost done?
I'm almost done. Music. John Williams will be scoring the next Indiana Jones movie, number 5, and he'll also be doing Star Wars Episode 8. So we're going to get some more John Williams soundtrack music.
Last bit of news, a seagull fell into a vat of chicken tikka masala, and the vet couldn't get over how great he smelled.
All right.
Now we're done.
On that note, let's take the break, and we'll bring in our guest, Solaris BlueRaven. So hang tight and don't go anywhere. You're listening to SpaceboyUniverse.com.
I'm from another planet.
Hello, Space Cadets. It's me, Spaceboy of Spaceboy Universe Live. I'm here to ask you to consider donating to cover our costs for broadcasting our live show. We love our show. We believe in the product, but we need your support. So visit SpaceboyUniverse.com and click the Donate Now button. This will take you to the SBU PayPal account, and you can choose the payment type of your choice. Every little bit helps. Sorlana and I appreciate your support. And as always, listen to Spaceboy Universe live on Saturday nights at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time, only on SpaceboyUniverse.com.
Hello, Space Cadets. It is announcer Savannah. I want to tell you that as a dedicated member of the SBU team, you always want to look your best. Do it in a Spaceboy Universe t-shirt. Get yours at spaceboyuniverse.com by clicking the banner on the website. Remember that, it's Spaceboy's Universe, and you're in it.
This is author Jordan Root. You are listening to the Spaceboy Universe.
This is K28, and I'm listening to Spaceboy Universe.
Hi, y'all. This is Lori calling from Texas, and I love listening to Spaceboy Universe.
Hey, this is Dave Cruz, host of Beyond the Strange, and you're listening to Spaceboy Universe.
This is Wendy. I'm listening to Spaceboy Universe.
Hey, y'all. This is Lorelai DeLille. I listen to Spaceboy Universe. Don't you? Tell your mom and them I said hi.
The epic battle begins this Friday. Direct from ringside at Laser Death Melt at Bot vs. Bot in Galaxy's 2-ton weight championship, where your challenger, Good Bot, will face the reigning champion, Bad Bot.
You're terminated.
Reserve seating starting at $30. 2-drink minimum, where ladies don't get in free. This is an SBU production.
You're listening to Spaceboy Universe.
Hi, this is Spaceboy, and I want to take this time to invite you to join Spaceboy and Solana in our on-demand show called Data Bites, bite-sized pieces of the universe. You can catch it on demand on Spreaker.com. Just search for Spaceboy Universe. And remember, it's Spaceboy's Universe, and you're in it. Hey, Solana!
What?
If Spaceboy Universe was cheese, would you eat it? Come on now, it's a simple question.
Maybe?
SpaceboyUniverse.com. Techno, dance, atmospheric moods? Yes, my friends. My latest release, Digital, has something for everyone. Even makes a great gift for Grandma. Buy your digital download at SpaceboyMusic.com.
Greetings, Space Cadets. Let's see what's in the sky tonight in the Spaceboy Universe. Tonight, in the eastern sky, we have Spaceboy Universe rising above the horizon in glorious splendor. And in the west, we can see Solaris Majoris, which is visible at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time, just below the K28 belt. So keep your eyes on the sky and listen to Spaceboy Universe.
Greetings everyone. You can catch Spaceboy Universe on every Saturday night at 9 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time. However, we know that you might not be able to catch the live show. That is why we have many places to listen to it on demand, like iTunes, SoundCloud, YouTube and Spreaker. So take the universe with you wherever you go. Always remember that, it's Spaceboy's Universe, and you're in it.
to call in, dial area code 713-7015-214. You are listening to Spaceboy Universe. Here are your hosts, Spaceboy and Solana.
Welcome back. Tonight's guest is Solaris BlueRaven. She is a published author, producer, writer, editor, and public speaker with a professional background in covert technology, surveillance, investigative research, healing modalities, and technology. She is known for her experience as a test pilot for synthetic telepathy, black projects, of which she discloses in her book series, Eye of the Remote. She is a world-class psychic, clairvoyant, remote viewer, and systems buster for MK Ultra-related programs. Ms. BlueRaven also hosts 2 radio shows, Raven Star's Witching Hour each Saturday night, midnight Eastern, on Revolution Radio at freedomslips.com. She also hosts Hyperspace on Secor Radio, digital radio network each Friday at midnight Eastern and 9 p.m. Pacific. I'll post those links for you to get to both of those sites on our social media. In the meantime, I want to welcome Solaris to Spaceboy Universe.
Well, hello there. Good evening.
Yes.
Hey.
Thanks for having me on.
Yes, well, it's a treat, and we can't thank you enough to hang your hat at our house tonight, and I'm sure it's going to be interesting.
It certainly will, and it's a pleasure to be here. So thanks again for inviting me.
Great. Real quick before the show started, I do my rundown of looking at Facebook and all that good stuff. And there were a couple of items that I had mentioned on Facebook and saved. And one real quick one, and we can talk about this through the course of the night because I know Solana has many questions, is I wanted to address at some point the hip-hop producer Timberland, who has this sub-pack that allows you to play this music all through your body. Mm-hmm. Do you remember that post?
Right, yeah, and I actually made a comment that they can do that through covert technologies. Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
So, at some point we'll probably address that too, and I know Solana wants to address another issue.
Before we get into your story, there's like some current events we want to get your take on.
Would you like to go ahead and bring up the GPS one?
Yeah, I wanted to get your take, since you're familiar with all the EMF stuff, of what the event that has happened on June 9th and the event that's planned for June 21st, 23rd, 28th, and the 30th, where our military is testing at China Lake Naval Weapons Center that will cause an outage of GPS down to 50 feet above the ground and at a radius of 253 nautical miles in the LA Basin, the Bay Area, and Las Vegas.
Right. I saw that article too, and I think Tina Marie was looking at that as well. But from what I look at, it seems to me like they're running a test insofar as scrambling and running interference to see if they can access certain things on a technological scale. Now, also, what comes to mind, because of where I've been with the covert technology and how it neurally interfaces me, is that they can actually use that technology, if they were wise, to disrupt any signals that are attacking people, civilians, and actually run interference to scramble and disengage attacks against people in general neurologically. So that's one thing I'm looking at. But another thing I'm looking at, yes, they can pretty much remotely disable anything technologically. So that's the whole idea behind our military. I don't have to tell you all this. It's really about the weaponization of technology and what they can do insofar as disrupting, scrambling, interfering, and that sort of thing.
Cool.
Okay, so you don't know, your take is if it's legit research to protect us or actually exploit us?
I think it's both. I think that they are looking at adversaries like China probably running interference with types of technologies that can literally disable our planes and disable other areas, and they're probably running an interference program. I suspect it goes in both directions. That's just my own hit on it.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
All right.
I figured she'd have an opinion.
Well, cool. So where do we begin this magical mystery tour, Solana?
We were lucky enough to receive your copy of your DVD, and we watched that today, and I took notes, and I just kind of would look over at Spaceboy, and my jaw would drop, and we'd pause the DVD, and we'd say, this sounds like da-da-da-da, and later in the video, we would see an image of what we were talking about, because we started talking about, this seems like it goes back to the Tesla Tower, when he was doing all those experiments, and then he yanked it, because he was worried about how it could be used from a military standpoint.
Right. Yeah. It's a good point you make right there. Well, he was a brilliant genius, and in my opinion had great access to what I would call off-world technologies and information. So, yeah, a lot of the artificial telepathy, synthetic telepathy, It's basically just hijacking the neural centers and your natural psychic telepathic ability, which everybody has, and then interfacing onto an artificial intelligence program, which is a supercomputer driving system. It's really not super complex. There are patents about this. There are actually military applications, and the military has contracted with synthetic telepathy, as I mentioned in the documentary as well.
Yes, see, now, from starting at the most basic level, my poor little liberal arts major mind can't get around the science of it and the math about, and I know it makes sense that we have brain waves and we give off frequencies and things like that, but beyond that, I can't. It's difficult for me to comprehend. It's not that saying I don't believe. It's just that I really mentally can't comprehend it.
It is a lot when your story is.
I don't understand physics, and
it's a wealth. It's
a lot of information.
It's a wealth of information.
It's a lot of information that basically you need to, for anybody who's interested in this sort of thing, you have to roll up your sleeves and do the investigative work. I mean, really roll up your sleeves and look at the patents, look at the technology, look at all the contracts the military has, DARPA has, and then start understanding. I broke it down as simple as I could, and I know it's not simple, but from my way of decoding things, I'm very clear on how they inducted me and the technology they used, plus the way they map the electromagnetic field. And as I touched on, we are electrical, which means we can be hijacked remotely. So that's the one thing. Yeah, basically just take it down to the simple equation. You're an electrical conduit. You're a transmitter and a receiver naturally. You have a supercomputer brain, which is a driving system. Even if you don't use 100% of it, it's still a supercomputer. It has conscious design. It has a connection to source. It's a multiversal design. All they have to do is map your electromagnetic field remotely. Now, this is done by satellite. Interface you onto an artificial intelligence array system, which is supercomputer driving systems, with a live handler real time, which is what they did with me in 2004, and the game rolls on. It's really not that complex, but you will get it. I guarantee you'll understand this. There's a book called, let me see here, there's Dr. Robert Duncan, who puts out Project Soulcatcher Volume 2. For people who want to know more about this technology, he just breaks it all down for you. There are patents that he shows. He also is one of the original developers of some of the psychotronic hardware. And I met with him, and we did an expert presentation at the Mind Control Super Soldier Summit. So, this is real. This is not foo-foo, woo-woo stuff. This is the real deal.
No doubt, because like you said, when I ever hear words like DARPA, I automatically think, oh, my goodness, what are we, I think of, I hate to say it, more sinister or more dark, black projects, if you will.
Right.
Ultra black. Yeah, the things that that kind of give me make the hair on the back of my neck stand up. So
right. Yeah, well, it's all weaponization. They were really big on AI, as you know, and robotics. But of course, what they show you is only the tip of the iceberg, because what they have in the black technologies department is way beyond all that.
Right. I mean, I always take a stance that when I do see, well, that's great, they've made a walking upright robot, and I can only assume what other compartmentalized department has worked up to plug into that, and so I agree with you. You don't know until what's underneath the water on a big iceberg.
Yeah, or if you get pulled into these programs, then you're kind of forced to decode them, like I was. So I had a normal life before this.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to ask you. So how did you get pulled into this? You said now, because you're clairvoyant psychic, maybe you've got like a louder frequency that can be picked up over just a regular person who doesn't have any intuitive abilities like this. Were you targeted because of that? It's just something you picked up by accident, or did they know about you? Or
well, it's one of my abilities, and so far as my capability, I know at the time I was inducted, and I go through this in my book, and I also go through it, I think, in my documentary. But I have a Merkaba, what we call Merkaba signal. I've worked a lot with DNA activation and natural healing before I was pulled into the program. And what happens is you get to levels of light body and frequency where you keep radiating more and more frequencies in multidimensional space until you receive this kind of a Merkaba signal. And when the Merkaba signal is a natural signal and harmonic that resonates with what we call the universal celestial heartbeat and pulse. I know this sounds esoteric, but that's my benchmark of who I am as a multidimensional being. Now, that doesn't even include my martial arts background as a second-degree black belt instructor when they pulled me in. I was a candidate for a lot of the technology, but really, when I look back at why these guys did this in this high-profile band, I'm pretty sure it was for experimentation and also for their own entertainment. They did a lot of insidious programs with me. They used me for a spy. They pretty much ran me through programs that were designed for a person who was working covert intel, because my handler, who was working with Neil, who was also a handler, literally has access to this and is one of those types of beings. So, it's just a matter of being programmed into these these projects and literally being pulled through an array of a lot of different technology.
Were they trying to bring you in kind of like as one of these super soldiers? Because it sounded like you had a physical strength, your martial arts, and you had the mental ability too.
Well, absolutely. Yeah, it's really interesting because they tried so hard to break me down, and I wouldn't break. Although I was traumatized, because I can tell you, when you get hit with these technological feeds, when you get interfaced with this technology and your life handler, your body goes into shock. And that's the one thing I like to tell people. You have no idea what this feels like. Sometimes it feels like you're getting shot out of a cannon, and other times your vitals start to drop, because what happened to me is that everything was dropping. And they rebooted me through the AI programs. In other words, I was kind of rebirthed in this project. It's really strange. And then, of course, that the live handler is still there to be there. And it's interesting how they relay the programming, because they'll try to, there'll be good cop, bad cop programming too.
Right.
So, but it didn't work. I mean, the only thing the programs can work, but I couldn't comply with their evil. And in my opinion, I think it's insidious. Some of the things that they did was just plain wrong.
Well, it sounds just like the MK Ultra, where, they used a mental and physical abuse to break, I guess, you break them down mentally, where you get to this point where I guess maybe you're in a zombie-like state and you'll do anything just to, I don't know, survive, or I don't know what it takes to get to that point where you're controllable.
Right. Well, it's usually trauma-based mind control. The old days, they used to pull you into a room and torture you with electricity and drugs and, whatever they could do, sexual, whatever they could do. They'll hurt you. Nowadays, they can remotely tap into you and literally run these programs. They don't have to be there in person, but they are there live feed real time. There is a real person there. They're just remote. And sometimes it can be the artificial intelligence array system. But I was initially pulled in by live feed real time. But the trauma comes from just being constantly banged up, electromagnetically, because what they did to me was just, push. And the interesting thing is, I had to back them up telepathically, because every time I would write a sentence or I'd communicate loud or telepathically naturally, they would just slam me back, and then I'd have to box my way out of it through the telepathy live feed real time. Wow. So I got to talking super fast, and people used to give me a hard time about that and say, why does she talk so fast? Well, I normally talk fast, but I really sped up when I was engaged with these guys.
Hurry and get it out before somebody takes it from you.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I've always said that was for me. I've always enjoyed to hear you talk, because to me it's like in fact, today as an example, Solana and I were talking, and I'm like saying, okay, do this.
And I'm like, would you please chill out? My goodness.
And it's kind of like, I can relate to somebody that can verbally keep up to that level, and you're definitely one of those. And of course, now when we were watching the video, I got kind of concerned, because in the video you were definitely in a different gear altogether. I mean, and so I tell you what, why don't we take our break, and when we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about this. So we're at the bottom of our hour break. So hang tight, take a little beverage, just sip there, and when we return, we'll have more Solaris BlueRaven on SpaceboyUniverse.com. To talk to Spaceboy and Solana, call 713-701-5214. You're listening to SpaceboyUniverse.com. And here are your hosts, Spaceboy and Solana.
We're back. And let's see, we're talking to Solaris BlueRaven and some of her experiences she's had over the years. So, you know a lot about this technology and the EMF signals, and what I was trying to find out, again, like how this basically works, is that some research that I did is it uses EMF and microwave technology, and they use computers and satellites to beam this with implants, and that you're saying it's pretty easy to do. And I looked this up. It says, you know, our human brain runs at 5 kilobits per second, and we've got supercomputers that can outpace that, so it's probably easy to map and decode and send things directly to the brain, because we've got technology kind of surpasses our own brain.
Well, their technology, it depends, though. I don't know if I agree with that, because some of it, because I believe our brains work faster than that. And I know that mine actually works pretty quick. So I will say we're more than compatible with machines. And secondly, yes, there's the microwave transmission of signal where they can actually interfere with people. With the old-fashioned version was voice to skull through Gwen towers and this and that. But the modern technologies that they're using, the more black technologies, are more satellite-driven, more with supercomputer design work, and also with signals. And when they implant people, it's through a signal transmission. Some people get the RFID, but that's old school.
Yeah.
It's always going to be a signal, and it's going to be an array system. But yeah, they take your brain template, your EEG. They do what we call EEG cloning and heterodyning, and that literally is a mixing of signals so that they can actually overlay a brainwave, whether it's an artificial brain from a computer, onto the target to create a possible schizophrenic brainwave pattern, or maybe ramp them up psychologically or psychically. They can do all sorts of things to integrate whether they want to ramp them up or down, and that's a very popular technique used by old CIA and some other covert divisions. But they've really, what I would say, they've mastered a lot of this technology to the point where it's all getting synced up with people with hive collectives now, and they're really using it in the underground.
It's all just, again, like we were watching your DVD with you're talking about all the stuff that you've had done to you, and that it was a constant 7 years, you said, of this bombardment. How in the world did you survive?
How did you?
I didn't survive. I barely survived. The thing is, I kept fighting my way out of it. But the problem with the technology is that it integrates in and it overlays onto you. So it kind of braids into your neural circuits. It's a signal that it makes you a hybrid. That's the bottom line. So what I did was I lost everything. I think y'all know that I lost my husband in 4 months' time because he didn't know what was happening to me. He thought I was being drugged by my doctor, and I was speaking with the natural telepathy and the synthetic telepathy with my handler live feed real time. And the one thing they want you to do when they pull you into these projects and they induct you is they want you isolated. They want you away from anybody who can get you back to where you're supposed to be. So they'll pull you away and then they'll keep you isolated so they can program you. And that's exactly what they did to me when I went to Maui. That was the place where they said, go to a place of your choosing where I can get to you. And that was Neil and Michael. And that's where I went. And sure enough, he showed up. So that's the whole idea behind that project, is to isolate you. But it was very hard. I stayed spiritual, and I trained, and I kept my martial arts going, and I wrote about it. And then I started writing more and talking about it, and that was kind of facilitating more of the healing and also allowing me to have a voice, because they'll try to take your voice away, especially if you're communicating the truth. If you want to go out there and disclose this technology, they don't want you doing that. And the only reason I disclosed it was because I was being tortured with it. I had no choice. So I had to come.
So by shedding the light on you, did it push those people away from you?
Well, you mean the parties involved, like the band?
Well, not necessarily the band, but I mean, since you kind of started bringing the subject matter to light, do you? I guess, does it continue today? I mean, I know you say in your video that it's been infused into you.
Right. Well, I have a signal anomaly that's still there. It's measurable. It's not as strong as it used to be. I do have an inkling, and I'm pretty sure, and I'm 99% sure, equaling 100, that they have access to remotely hack when they need to. They don't. But I know that they can, because anytime I have a signal that's still embedded in me, it's accessible by the people who actually created the signal. So it's there. It's provable. And, I've lived with it to a point where I just kind of blend in with society. Nobody has any idea who I am, what I am, how I've been upgraded, and how I've been interfered with, unless they read my books or they look at my documentary or hear my radio shows. So I'm kind of cloaked.
Oh, wow.
So I know this is probably going to, let's just go for the full Monty here.
Just trying to wrap my head around it.
So you don't feel that maybe you're a Mentorian candidate?
Oh, no, not like that. No, Manchurian. Yeah. No, the thing is they try to push you to a point where they want to break you psychologically and program you into being, whether it's a spy, recruited for their own, for their own division. Manchurian Candidate. I think if I have a potential to be violent, that would have been a different scenario, but I'm not. Being a second-degree black belt, we learn control. We don't abuse our power. So I have a moral compass and a really strong benchmark spiritually. And I think that's why they couldn't really get me to be whatever it is they wanted to make me look like, besides a Looney Tune. It just didn't work because I have too much caliber and too much education. And so that doesn't work. But I do know, and I can tell you point blank, that the psychotronic warfare program that they have will affect certain people. If they're weak and they get triangulated and pulled into some of these projects and they run these programs
that's
on
what
them.
I wanted to ask you. Is it just people who are, like you or who are naturally maybe clairvoyant, or can they just do this to regular people, or do they have to have, something to get a hook?
Right. Well, the thing is that everybody has an electrical frequency. They all have the electromagnetic field signature. What I do know is that if they fit a certain profile for something, they will pull them into a project. Now, all these projects are different. There are many tentacles of the beast, as I say. You have the targeted individuals. You've got people like me who are pulled into a covert program for training and recruitment and spy. And then you have other people who are pulled into other various projects for possible mind control, possible Manchurian candidates where they're sitting there and they have multiple programs running, and then all of a sudden they're dormant. Then they get activated and they commit this hellacious crime. I think personally that they were programming me, and at some point they were probably going to figure out, well, we could try to make her look like this or make her look like that. But what they didn't realize is that I'm the controller in this body. I'm the one. It's me, my higher self, my oversoul, my superconscious and source, and I don't delegate them power at all. And the only time I allowed them to communicate with me is when they opened up the communication live feed real time and wanted to communicate with me. But I had no idea they had an agenda at the time. I wasn't afraid.
Wow.
So let's go back. Can you tell us a little bit how it happened in 2004 and kind of set it up for us, and let's kind of progress through the years and because you have some interesting side posts along the way that have marked your journey to where you're at now.
Right. Well, it seems like a lifetime ago, I'll tell you that much. But back in 2004, I had a normal life. I was married to a land surveyor. I was also a surveyor. I was a map maker, and I was also a martial arts instructor, had doing healing practices with DNA activation, and also a writer. So I had my own life going in the right orbit, so to speak. And then I sent a book, and I'm sure you are familiar that I sent a book to Neil Peart, who is basically the drummer for Rush. Mm-hmm. And that's when everything went chaotic. And I'll tell you point blank, let me back up this truck a little bit here, because I used to have communication with him in the 80s and the 90s. And because people said I used to write like him. And so I tongue-in-cheek sent my work into him through this drum solo contest, and he started responding to me with a postcard. And this communication went back and forth into the 90s. So this is where I kind of had, I wouldn't say rapport, but it was kind of like a pen pal communication. He knew who I was. He would send me postcards. He didn't seem to have a problem with me. So it wasn't this groupie thing. It was just more of an intellectual thing. So that's how that started. So when I was teaching my martial arts class, and one of my kickboxing students, he said that for some reason I think Rush was playing, and he came up and he said, "Oh, I was really sad to hear what happened to his family, and I didn't know." And this is the last family he had that literally was taken out. The tragedy that had happened to them. Well, that's when I felt bad, and I said, well, wow, I guess I could send a book, Transmutation through Ascension. I hadn't written to him in a long time, but I thought my book on healing, transmutation, DNA activation, I thought it was a really nice book to send to him. Mm-hmm. So I did. And within a week's time, I had everything under remotely surveilled. I had live plants in the area. I had my computer accessed. I had my phone tapped. I had people calling my house and my cell phone with weird kind of cryptic kind of communication. And then I had an interconnection live feed real time with Michael J. Mosbach, Neil Peart, and the band members live feed real time. And if you think they can't do this and they don't have the capabilities, think again. They can, and they did. And let me also explain that Neil Peart has had access to this technology. He uses a synthetic telepathy with Michael J. Mosbach for communication and surveillance. This is the best thing you can use. You don't need a headset. You don't need radios. Mm-hmm. You are the radio. So this is why if people don't believe this stuff, you are the spy. This is why they use it. It works, especially in high-profile people, whether it's for a president, for Secret Service, beyond. To me, it's the MIB technology. This is the stuff that's really cool, but also can be used and misused.
So with Mosbach and the drummer, were they two guys that had this? They were involved in this, and then they just happened to be in a band, or is the band part of the?
Oh no, the band's part of it. Yeah, if you look at the Rush albums, if you look at the early days, even Geddy Lee and Alex Lifeson, you look at their early material, you look at Neil Peart's work and his writing, you will see the signature of signals intelligence everywhere. Mm-hmm. You will see what he's talking about, double agent. Psychotronic warfare is always referenced in a covert way. 2112 album, they talk about the supercomputers. Doesn't anybody pay attention? I mean, not you guys, but I'm trying to tell you, please decode his work and understand. This man is multi-layered. Neil Peart went on live radio a long time ago on YouTube or something and said he was schizophrenic. He's not schizophrenic. If he's schizophrenic, he's been compromised by the program, because what that does is it creates this kind of a multiple personality disorder due to the interface of the technology. If you don't know how to ride the technology properly, it can really make you go crazy. And I can tell you that point blank. But I maintain the stability. And I can also say that Michael J. Mosbach is also the owner of Ashkelon, which is literally a covert agency designed to surveil people, but also induct them into covert technologies, with the same ones he used with me. And he also is contracted with the Middle East. If you look at his background, he was with PCOR, which is also about threat assessment. But what people don't even understand is that when they start to look at a target or somebody they want to pull into their project, they push them technologically and see if they counter. If they counter, then they call them a threat. So I know the ins and outs of Mosbach so well. I know his business better than he does, because he pulled me into something and I busted through the firewall. This is how I know the technology, guys. I learned a lot of it, and then I also knew it by experiencing it, by decoding it.
Would you say that were they? I mean, they were using. I guess come to the point that I'm going to make here. Were they infusing any of this technology through their music?
I believe that it's overlaid and encrypted. And if you look, I think they remixed everything. Now, this is what's interesting. Over the years, if you notice, they've remixed everything, which means if there was a forensic signature, they cleared it up. But I will tell you, yes, back in the early days, they always had an encryption, and they always had it multi-layered. So insofar as the way it can affect people subconsciously, yes, I believe that they were doing this a long time ago. But when they decide to triangulate a target, they can do it. Now, Neil and Michael usually go on their road trips and they ride motorcycles. Neil has a book called Ghost Rider, Masked Rider. People think they don't understand what that means. That means what he's doing through the covert technologies. When they said they were going to pick me up on their motorcycles, they did. They picked me up through the communication system live feed real time, and then they took me on an R30 tour back in 2004. I was literally live feed with those guys, R30 tour. And what's interesting, if you look at the Snakes and Arrows album, and you look at some of the information where it says brought to you by Conniption, that was me. That was him and I in communication live feed real time. We had communication going on, and then they would leave it on their album. And there were things that they were doing back and forth in the R30 Contents Under Pressure book that literally was about my induction and my communication with them. Nobody knows what's going on. And I know this sounds really wild to listeners, but I'm telling you, you have to be a detective about this. And I have no reason to make this crap up, as you know. This is the real deal. This is me decoding the technology, and this is what these guys have been working on and have been involved in. Why they pulled me into it, not really sure on some level, because I'm not going to put up with people who abuse the privilege of having access to covert technologies. That's the bottom line. So I think they picked the wrong person to manipulate.
So they can put something in the music, like in the signal and the frequency of the music, if they wanted to, or
many years. I'm not just saying just Rush alone, but many musicians have embedded things into music to convey messages. I mean, back in the 70s, there was so much. When Paul was supposedly dead, which that's another interesting story altogether. People were playing the albums backwards and hearing Paul is dead, but I was gonna, it's been through a lot of musicians embed secret things in their music, and a lot of interesting things dealing with frequencies alone too. We're looking forward to working on a show here pretty soon on frequencies.
Yeah,
just
we're
to let you know.
Talk just about frequencies.
But I was gonna bring up from a musician standpoint of view, looking at Rush. I've always found their music complex, but to me, when I would hear or listen or even study some of their music in general, there was a certain, I don't know how to describe it other than a complexity that I can't explain. That in most other music, I can say, oh, this is cut and dry, or this is a little sloppy here, but they're very precise, well thought out and complex. But the complexity that goes beyond natural music theory, and that's
Right.
what I guess what I'm trying to convey.
Unfortunately, I only know Tom Sawyer, and that's the only thing I know about their whole discography. I apologize.
The mainstream one. No, that's all right. And you know what? They are multi-layered. There's no doubt. I used to remember and I've only been to 3 Rush concerts, okay? I mean, in my entire life, and that was before I was inducted. And I can tell you, the one thing that people always say about Pert was, he drums like a machine, he drums like a machine. Yeah, I know why he drums like a machine, because he can interface with the technology, and that'll make you appear like a machine. I know it very clearly because he had me hardwired into him. And it's real interesting, how that works. But he's also known as the Professor. He has a real encrypted background. I mean, I don't think people realize that guy has access to a lot of covert technologies with the rest of the band, and he's been doing some interesting programming on people indirectly and sometimes directly, like what he did with me. And I will say also that I'm not the first person they pulled into these programs, but I'm the first one who's come forward. And this is what shocks me, you all, because I honestly don't understand why nobody else has come forward. I don't understand.
Yeah, in fact, I was going to say, I remember seeing a video with Neil. I guess it must have been in late 80s, early 90s, and he was talking about his drum setup and then, of course, once again, that complexity of his theory. It was really mind-blowing in the sense of what he does. And I've never seen anybody drum like that. And it's just, in theory-wise, it boggles my mind.
Well, he's hardwired into the technology, the artificial intelligence interface. You want to call it artificial telepathy, that's what it is. He is definitely what I call a hybrid. He is definitely interconnected in the project, and so is Michael. And Michael admitted this to me, by the way, when I met him on Maui in person. And they call it a special hearing. That's the code for it. You have a special hearing. You hear it. Michael admitted that. He said, and the thing is, this type of technology is not permanent because they can switch it off.
Right.
They can literally change the signal. They chose not to, and Pert chose not to. And then later on, when I testified in 2006, Michael was the one that suggested I go talk to the magistrate. It wasn't me that wanted to go to court. It was him that wanted to get me in there to testify, to say, oh, she's talking mind control and blah, blah, blah. So Michael could literally lie through his teeth in front of the judge. And, of course, that whole thing was orchestrated before I even walked in the room. I had lost the case because he had paid the judge off. Everything was already orchestrated. I had no chance in hell. And guess what? I had an NSA lawyer shadowing that case, ex-NSA Signals Intelligence, who still understands very clearly this whole array system, and told me point blank, if we, he had people that could testify about the technology, how it feels, for $10,000 a pop. And I was like, well, we can't pay these people. I mean, but literally, that's what we're talking about. It's about money, it's about control, it's about power, it's about covert technology, and it's pretty much a rich man's toy, because these type, anybody who has access to this technology, who has the money to buy it, can deploy it. And this is where it becomes a real nightmare for civilians or anybody.
I was just thinking while you're saying that, so what you're saying and what we watched on your DVD and my little bit of research I did earlier this week is, they can remotely send you messages, audio, sounds, images directly into your mind, bypassing the, your eyeballs and your ears.
Yes, it's neural. Yeah.
And
yes.
It sounds a lot like a bad Vulcan mind meld. But, you know what I'm saying? Put thoughts in, put their thoughts in your thoughts. And,
correct.
But I wonder, could this be used for, let's say you don't know how to do a certain task and they could send you the instructions and all of a sudden you're able to play the piano
it's just like the Matrix. No, you're correct. And that's what I was initially, when I was put through this program, first thing they did to me was they tried to break me down with alters and fake names. Excuse me. And they tried to, and this is what's interesting, they kept calling me Selena Taylor. Your birthday's April 22nd. Now, Selena Taylor was a pseudo-daughter that was supposedly taken out in an accident. That girl was plugged into the communication system, I'm pretty sure, 99.9% sure she was. So why they wanted me to be Selena Taylor, first of all, I have no freaking idea, but it was very strange, excuse my French. But I hope that doesn't swear on your radio. I didn't mean to do that. But freaking. But anyways, the concept was to break me down, try to create alters. That didn't work. But the pattern recognition, the numbers, the codes, the signatures they used on me, yes. My body was definitely programmed by some of the technologies. Not in a negative fashion, I would say, but in a very interesting fighter pilot way. I definitely have the capabilities for fighter pilot, and what I would see as the same kind of abilities that Mossbach has, and Neil, to some degree. Just the things that they were doing were bleeding through into me, and the types of technologies they were using to train and program me. But the thing is, I wasn't complying with being pushed around and muscled around or manhandled by this technology, and that's where I had to draw the line. And I think I I'm pretty sure that when people get pulled into these projects, they cave 100%, and they just say, okay, you can do it all to me, I don't care. And I was like, wait a minute, I have a spiritual benchmark. I'm a multidimensional being. I'm a black belt. I mean, I stayed stable in my consciousness so that I wasn't being taken over, because I'll tell you what.
That's
when
how you fought it?
Yeah, because when they start to take you over remotely, they can maneuver your hands. They can do everything. I mean, Michael was doing hand signals with Neil. I mean, these people are capable of remotely hacking an entire body to a point where you become animatronic. And there's even a song that he wrote about this, the whole animation thing. So literally, they animate you. And so then I said I had to take my power back and say, wait a minute, you guys are not having control over me like this. This is ridiculous. It's a really strange communication system. It's a very strange project. But I do see, they have the mind control. They have the Project Mannequin. They have all these sorts of, in the old days, they used to have these women who were programmed into being whatever, girlfriends, you name it, sci-spy kind of women. So it goes in many directions of MK Ultra, but this is the advanced form of it. But it doesn't work on me. I mean, I'm okay with remote viewing. I'm okay with doing certain things on a technological scale, and I actually like machines. I am very compatible with machines. Mm-hmm. I'm not compatible with interrogation programs, and I'm not compatible with dirty government agencies who want to control and manipulate me.
Well, that's the more you say about that, they can send you. You can, like you say, suddenly you can fly a helicopter. I mean, that was right in that first Matrix movie where they just sort of downloaded that knowledge into her, because she's in a matrix. We're all living in this computer, and we're programs. We just got to jack that in, and it makes me wonder how much Hollywood knows of people like screenwriters and screenplays know that they're actually just kind of trying to show us without, revealing it.
Right. I agree.
And like you say, they're creating I don't know if they're trying to do a Stepford wife thing where they're just, you're just serving your time for them, doing all their work they want you to do. Right. It's just weird how there's so many movies and TV shows out there that have all these concepts already in them out there and open, and they're showing it as science fiction.
Right. Well, if you see the series Dollhouse lately, that one's spot on. Anybody I encourage people to watch Dollhouse, because that is the real deal. When they insert false memories, screen memories, they're overlaying, they're using computer technology to interface the brain and actually create these alters and personalities into these women who become hosts for the technology. Also, Blade Runner comes to mind, because literally what Mossbach was doing was trying to insert false matrices, false realities. He was literally trying to load me up with false imagery. It's a psychotronic driving system. It's not memory-based. If you take a word and you see a scenario around a word, it's psychotronic driving. It has nothing to do with your real memories. And this is where they can insert fake memories, screen memories, false array system. This also ties into my labs, military abductions, because most of those people who think they have little ETs wandering around are usually being hit with covert technology, a psychotronic driving system that's neural linking the brain, and they will never know the difference unless they've done the spiritual work or they understand these technologies.
So that's interesting to bring that up at this point, because Solana and I have talked many things dealing with, I guess, have you heard Project Blue Book?
Yes,
Blue
Project,
Beam.
yeah.
Blue Beam.
Oh, Blue Beam. My bad.
Project Blue Beam. Yeah, but there is a Project Blue Book. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, not Blue Book,
Blue
but
Book's old.
yeah, it's
Right.
one of those things. Just Gene Hackman, Gene Wilder thing with me, and
That's an in-joke.
we'll have to tell you at some point about that. But at any rate, so Project Blue Beam, we're using, I guess, holographic imagery to fool the masses into believing.
Right. Well, the one thing you have to realize, and I'm sure you all do, because you're both very intelligent beings, is that we are in a holographic world. We are holographic beings, and that it's easy to hijack energy. And all they're doing is hijacking transmissions, signals. They can hijack frequencies and then run their own communication system or their array system onto it. So literally, they're overlaying with their own projects. So the Project Blue Beam, I think they call it something else now, but I'm very much convinced that they're hijacking natural energy, natural conscious energy, natural superconscious energy, and actually anything that's descending onto this world to literally create their own version or visualization of whatever you want to see. And also we understand that we as we think, we manifest. So we can manifest realities through consciousness. Well, if they're hijacking your consciousness, then they're going to hijack your reality. Do you see how that's working? Mm-hmm. So this is why we take down the false matrix, so that we can ascend out of this and break down these false barriers, because they're literally screwing mankind up.
What about something like HARP?
HARP is another one. I mean, if you talk to Bijik, is it Nick Bijik, who's communicated a lot about some of the HARP things? I mean, it's an insidious program, although they'll pass it off as something else. But it's still something that's extremely powerful, that's literally capable of affecting people on a health level, on a psychological level, on a mass collective level. So you're dealing with all these dirty, what I call dirty transmissions. And we really have to be fortified insofar as not paranoid, but aware that there are energies out there that are not productive, but most of them are manufactured by man. And it's all about weaponization of our atmosphere, weaponization of technologies involving our bodies. Now our brains are weaponized through the technology, right? And you can upgrade, like Elysium comes to mind, because you can upgrade people so that they're really, really intelligent. They seem like extraterrestrials, but they're just being hijacked and upgraded by the covert intel. So then there's that group, and then there's the other class of people that are, oh, well, these people are dumbed down by the illusion of mainstream, which is teaching them the wrong information. Do you see how there's a segregation here happening? So the people that are going to have access to this technology are going to be the ones that are upgrading their own, and they're going to let everybody else fall behind deliberately.
Interesting.
Interesting indeed. I tell you what, we're about 2 minutes early, but I'm going to go ahead and take the mega break for the top of the hour. And we'll continue this wonderful conversation we're having with Solaris BlueRaven. So don't touch that dial. You're listening to SpaceboyUniverse.com with Spaceboy and Sirlana. And, of course, our guest tonight, Solaris BlueRaven. Stay tuned. Hello, Space Cadets. It's me, Spaceboy of Spaceboy Universe Live. I'm here to ask you to consider donating to cover our costs for broadcasting our live show. We love our show. We believe in the product, but we need your support. So visit SpaceboyUniverse.com and click the Donate Now button. This will take you to the SBU PayPal account, and you can choose the payment type of your choice. Every little bit helps. Sirlana and I appreciate your support. And as always, listen to Spaceboy Universe live on Saturday nights at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time, only on SpaceboyUniverse.com.
Hello Space Cadets. It is announcer Savannah. I want to tell you that as a dedicated member of the SBU team, you always want to look your best. Do it in a Spaceboy Universe t-shirt. Get yours at spaceboyuniverse.com by clicking the banner on the website. Remember that, it's Spaceboy's Universe, and you're in it.
This is author Jordan Root. You are listening to the Spaceboy Universe.
This is K28, and I'm listening to Spaceboy Universe.
Hi, y'all. This is Lori calling from Texas, and I love listening to Spaceboy Universe.
Hey, this is Dave Cruz, host of Beyond the Strange, and you're listening to Spaceboy Universe.
This is Wendy. I'm listening to Spaceboy Universe.
Hey, y'all. This is Laura Jamil. I listen to Spaceboy Universe. Don't you? Tell your mom and them I said hi.
The epic battle begins this Friday. Direct from ringside at Laser Death Melt. It's Bot versus Bot in Galaxy's 2-ton weight championship, where your challenger, Good Bot, will face the reigning champion, Bad Bot. You're terminated. Reserve seating starting at $30. 2-drink minimum, where ladies don't get in free. This is an SBU production.
You're listening to Spaceboy Universe.
Hi, this is Spaceboy, and I want to take this time to invite you to join Spaceboy and Sirlana in our on-demand show called Data Bites, bite-sized pieces of the universe. You can catch it on demand on Spreaker.com. Just search for Spaceboy Universe. And remember, it's Spaceboy's Universe, and you're in it. Hey, Sirlana! If Spaceboy Universe was cheese, would you eat it? Come on now, it's a simple question.
Maybe.
SpaceboyUniverse.com. Techno, dance, atmospheric moods? Yes, my friends. My latest release, Digital, has something for everyone. Even makes a great gift for Grandma. Buy your digital download at SpaceboyMusic.com.
Greetings, Space Cadets. Let's see what's in the sky tonight in the Space Boy universe. Tonight, in the eastern sky, we have Space Boy universe rising above the horizon in glorious splendor. And in the west, we can see Solaris Majoris, which is visible at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time, just below the K28 belt. So keep your eyes on the sky and listen to Space Boy universe.
Greetings everyone. You can catch Spaceboy Universe on every Saturday night at 9 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time. However, we know that you might not be able to catch the live show. That is why we have many places to listen to it on demand, like iTunes, SoundCloud, YouTube and Spreaker. So take the universe with you wherever you go. Always remember that, it's Spaceboy's universe, and you're in it.
To call in, dial area code 713-701-5214. You are listening to Spaceboy Universe. Here are your hosts, Spaceboy and Sir Lawson.
You know, you are live on the mic there.
Oh, I am?
Yes. Why don't you tell the whole world behind the scenes stuff?
Oh, that's
yes,
fine.
indeed. The phone lines are open, 713-701-5214. If you want to call in, ask a question, it's up to you. And other than that, we're going to continue our wonderful conversation with Solaris BlueRaven. So
I was interested in, so you've got, apparently, obviously you've got a lot of mental harassment, but they also affected you physically with some of this, like you were telling us in the break, that it took a toll on you physically. They can alter, they can make you move things, but it also can make your heart race. And things that just don't look like good feelings.
Right. They can literally do a lot of manipulation. Let's put it that way. They can surge you out. They can create a program to make you attracted to certain people. And I don't, without getting too graphic, but literally surge your sexual centers out around stupid things. When I was first pulled into the program, they had me ramped up with airplanes, ramped up with their motorcycles, where there was like vroom vroom, And every time he ramped up his motorcycle, it would ramp me up internally with the technology. This is what they were doing to me. They were literally hijacking me from the inside with an exterior signal that they created. And that was pretty disgusting, and that was pretty bizarre, and it put me into a great deal of trauma because I didn't know how to process that. I mean, honestly, you guys, when you get hit with a technology like this, you don't know how to, it's just bizarre. That's all there is to it.
It sounds like bullying for just the heck
of it. Very
much
so. Yeah, it was really, to me, it seemed like a very cruel thing to do to somebody. And I had a little more respect for Pert. I was surprised that he would go that low, to be honest with you. And the bottom line is, I'd like to also incorporate the fact that their families are well involved in these. His wife was involved in it. The Weinrib family, which is Geddy Lee's family, are involved. Alex Leifman. I mean, these guys are all, their inner circle, and their inner secret is really this technology and the misuse of. And I'm really ashamed of all of them that they never came forward on my behalf. But that would be admission of guilt. They can't do it, so they're not going to.
Wow. So let's see here. Before we left earlier, we were talking a little bit about I wanted to go back to the holographic thing because it kind of made me think a little bit about the Tesla connection and how he was able to draw power from out of air, it seemed.
Right. Yeah.
And so it got me thinking that if indeed we were in a holographic universe, and I'm kind of leaning towards that kind of conclusion on my own, how easy it would be to draw power out of nothing, or things that would seem magical or would explain like UFOs and mysterious creatures of the unknown.
Right.
I guess could you elaborate a little bit more about that?
Sure. Well, the thing is, with Tesla, it's all about frequency, modulation of the wave, and consciousness. Those are the three components, in my opinion, insofar as how we define our multidimensional realities. And the 0 point, by the way, 0 point is the ultimate because it's the soul frequency is the 0 point. So we have a universal gift. We have immortality at the soul spirit level. Whether you believe it or not, it doesn't matter. Your essence of origin is off-world. We are not from here. We come from the stars. We go back to the stars. So we have a multidimensional, multiversal design of spirit and consciousness. Now, that can get hijacked by this type of technology, but the ethers and everything that we create, we manifest. So Tesla really understood the components behind consciousness and how we were able to create everything through frequency, transmission of signal. He knew how to modulate certain frequencies to actually enhance and amplify what was here already on this planet in the illusion of, because everything is coming through. We have stargates, what you call the sun is a stargate. I mean, you literally have energetic signatures and signals that are more powerful than you can possibly imagine bombarding this world. And those signals can raise our vibratory rate. They can expand our consciousness. They can alter us on a multidimensional level. What we call DNA activation is a natural given due to the frequencies of consciousness and how we download naturally. You hear a lot of people say they're getting downloaded. Well, that's true. We do get downloaded naturally. We get upgraded naturally through DNA activation in frequency. It's not New Age. It's old mystery school. This is something the ancient ones always knew about. And these guys understand that very well, but they become more like the corrupt sorcerers to a point where they're trying to hijack all technology and the paranormal and spirituality. And I hope that answers your question. But it's really about frequency and consciousness, and that we can harness anything. We are electrical beings, and we have the natural components to have free energy on this world, which I know in the undergrounds they have access to all this stuff. They're working free energy with all of their covert technologies in the Black Space Program, for example. So
that's what Dr. Stephen Greer says, is that they already know that how to get free energy, and they're keeping that to themselves. It's just not profitable. It's not in their best interest to let us know all that information.
Right. They want an enslaved society. The problem is that they're trying to encrypt everybody in this false matrix to a point where we're struggling, we're surviving, we're living the illusion of a linear world when in fact we're multidimensional, we're multiversal. And I've always said we have to step up to the galactic neighborhood. We have to step up to the higher frequencies and embrace that, what we really are as multidimensional beings, because we are. It's not woo-woo. It's just what you are. Your cells and your atoms are a mirror image of the multiverse. That's huge. And not only is it a mirror image, but you have cellular memory, cellular design. You have memory of every universe and star system out there through your cells and your atoms. Think about that kind of power. And then you tell me, when they go in and brain hack people, don't you think they're looking for data streams? Absolutely they are.
Wow.
Now you bring up, I guess, an interesting idea, multidimensional. But, I mean, what about parallel universes? I mean,
that happens.
And so... is there a connection between those universes?
Right. Well, the thing is, as you're a multidimensional being, what I always communicate is that we are multidimensional beings living simultaneously in alternate realities and alternate star systems and universes. I know that sounds really complex, but truly we are. We exist as multidimensional designs. There's always going to be an alternate reality, or what we call an alternate spin-off. Now, alternate realities can be created by thoughts, by intent, by someone else's intent, by entanglement. The alternate realities are things that are not really solid in the multiverse, but actually exist in an etheric kind of place where they're there, but they're really not consistently powerful. But then we have the other aspects of what we call parallel bleed-through, where as you exist as a multidimensional being, you can get a bleed-through effect from an alternate reality that you're on. Say you're here, Space Boy, but you're also in another part of the cosmos doing other work. Well, that bleeds through to your design, and perhaps that's probably where you get some of your music. So literally, you're getting a download in consciousness, and this is where all of these multiple realities, what we call realities, are really dimensional spaces. So it's all about frequency. So if you can see it as a radio band, each dimension is a frequency. It's a specific frequency. It's a radio band that's a multiversal band of energy, and we can access that through our own vibratory rate. So when you step up in frequency, you are accessing another part of your multidimensional design, and you're able to integrate that ability, whether it's through psychic ability, natural healing, music, sound, whatever your gifts are, you can bring them forward. And also there is also off-world species out there that we can access too. And I know that sounds really abstract, but that's the truth of the cosmos. And people know that who are trained in mystery school teachings. I mean, we all knew this. This is one of the reasons they went after a lot of the ancient mystery schools, and they tortured and hurt a lot of people. And now they have the mind control programs, because once you expand out of the box, if they can't control you and you're able to phase shift or bilocate in consciousness, but you get that vibratory rate right, and you modulate your frequency, you can phase shift to another dimensional space. You can be off planet through, that's called ascension. That's called DNA activation.
Now, I want to talk to you about something that I've talked to another guest of ours, and we're fairly close with. I have told this gentleman that there are times when I've closed my eyes, and not all the time. It comes to me and it goes, where I will close my eyes and look beyond the ether, if you will. And then all of a sudden, I'll get a powerful vision or an image of something. Does that sound something remotely tied in to what we're talking about tonight?
Oh, absolutely. When you have natural psychic vision or natural multidimensional states of consciousness, it's not a real pushy intrusive thing. It's natural flow. It's by the law of grace. It's very harmonic. So yeah, it sounds like your psychic third eye is opened and you're accessing multiple world realities. When people get hit with psychotronics, it's a driving system. It's a machine, and you will know the difference. And it's also created by man. It's not some advanced species off planet. What they're doing is a driving system to interfere with your natural access to your multidimensional design.
Well, these visions are really interesting from time to time. I'll picture people close up, or I'll see places that I've never seen before. Or, in fact, I think the last time I had one of these visions, I believe I was looking at a bird, and I was remarking of the different colors that I was seeing of the bird. But like I said, it's not something that I just close my eyes and bam, it's there. It's just sometimes I reach a Zen state of mind, and when I've closed my eyes, and those things they'll appear very crisp, or I'll get partial images, and so I don't think I got to share this with you, and I thought this would probably be a good time to share that with you and get your thoughts.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, what comes to mind is also shamanism, because you do have that ability to, I think you'd make a phenomenal healer, by the way, whether you realize it or not. But literally, you have access and you have abilities that you probably don't really work with as much as you should. In other words, the stuff that you're receiving, be lucid in the experience is my suggestion, and learn to control this imagery and see where it goes. And if something's showing you something, that's an image that's coming either from your higher self or perhaps a type of a guide or something you work with off planet. But also there's the aspect of something deeper than that. So being able to manipulate consciousness. In other words, see if you can control the color of the bird. See if you can control it. And once you gain more control and more mastery, you'll start stepping up in frequency to be able to control more. And I think this is another thing, too. When they start profiling people's electromagnetic fields and abilities, they get nervous when we have access. Like for me, I can push through people's firewalls. I can access them. I could see them very clearly in 2004. And I'm also capable of doing things that their covert intel probably doesn't want me to do. So, in other words, I have way too much information for someone who's not part of the inside thing. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
So they'll run interference programs against that. They'll try to get me to, distract or do whatever it takes, because we are able to do phenomenal things when we are expanded in consciousness. But I think you have some brilliant gifts, and you should definitely pay attention to those gifts, because they are telling you something.
And I got nothing. So.
Oh, well, I don't believe that at all. I don't believe that at all.
Well, I was going to say...
And that's okay. I that's fine. I don't need to be special or anything.
Oh, my goodness. Here we go again.
Be careful, because you might just find one day you wake up and you're just like, wow, what happened? Some light went on somewhere, and all of a sudden I have another avatar gift. So
yeah, that's what I thought the day after we got married. We told you we got married. Yeah, we told you got married at the Star Trek experience.
Oh my gosh, that's so cute.
Yeah.
Before they tore it apart.
I love Star Trek. And, and like I said, after where I've been, it is like the Borg. There's no doubt about it.
Yes, that's the one thing is you mentioned that in your DVD, and because of they were checking you over for implants.
Right. Yeah.
And I was thinking, well, where did you get the implants?
And there's signals, and that's the thing. And Steve Colburn, by the way, he worked with the late Dr. Roger Lear, who physically removed implants, and that's the real deal. This isn't some woo-woo stuff. This is the real technology. And I have 45 minutes of raw footage, by the way, of that scan. I only put the highlights in that documentary. When I unload that 45 minutes of that scan, people's jaws are going to drop. We had cameras, going off. We had things happening that were very unusual. That are very anomalous, that were interfering while we were trying to run these measurements. So, yeah, there was a lot going on.
So do you have technology? Like, for example, I have a sister who cannot wear a watch to save her life, because as soon as she puts the watch on, within minutes, maybe even less than that, the watch goes completely dead. And this is watches that are electronic. These are watches that are wind-up. It is the most bizarre thing that I've ever seen before, but do you have experiences like that where devices quit working or malfunction?
Yeah, I used to in the past, and this was before I got hit with the program, but I always was able to, I always kind of stopped electricity. In other words, I would hold like Christmas lights in my hand, for example, and I could surge them out just by holding them. My electromagnetic field and my Merkaba signal was really ramped up. I used to do grid working and grid running, what we call grid running, with a group of people that were basically just running energy onto the planet in a positive fashion. And it was a very small group of people I'd work with once a month. And I'll tell you, when I started ramping up my energy field, people could feel it in the room to the point where they would get dizzy. Some people would feel arrhythmias, like heart arrhythmias. That's how strong my electromagnetic field was going. The electricity, the photons. When I do like DNA activation and healing on people, they would literally feel like they were just like electricity was running through their bodies, and they would get upgraded immediately. That's the kind of powerful work I was doing before I got hit with this program. And when they integrated me with this technology, it almost put a dampening field and encapsulated me with what I call, do you remember the Spider-Man suit? The black suit, that's exactly what it reminded me of. It was a nano suit. It was almost like an overlay of my light body. And I think that William Henry talks about singularity. He's spot on. He is spot on about that. So once again, I encourage people to check that out because he's talking about the light body getting hijacked into artificial intelligence and transhumanism, and that's exactly what they're doing.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that transhumanism stuff is all what I have read as part of a conspiracy like Illuminati to try to make us not be human anymore. So we're supposed to. It's weird how some of these things tie together. We have, you're talking about, your subject tonight. We were talking last night to our writer friend Gordon Roop, where he was discussing his book and his research he did on the Heaven's Gate people, where they also were supposed to go to transform beyond humanity into these ETs that were coming behind the Hale-Bopp comet.
Oh, I remember that, yeah. Well, the transhumanism is real. I mean, insofar as these guys are just like Frankensteins. They want to merge with machines, and they want to be these immortal gods. I mean, that's what they want. But I will tell you that the soul and the spirit is a smart bomb. It doesn't want to live in an artificial host. Mm-hmm. So if they create a clone or whatever they want to create this, to transfer the psyche or the consciousness, first of all, they're not going to get consciousness. They're just going to get a brain template of the previous host. It's like Dax, remember in Star Trek? Mm-hmm. That's what it's just like that. You're getting a program of someone else's personality. It's getting put into something. They're going to pretend. They're not going to know what's happened to them, and they won't even understand immortality. It's really kind of sad in a way because I know the mechanics behind consciousness, so I can tell they're going the wrong way. But I do know that they're using beings like us who are very high in light consciousness to use as guinea pigs and sometimes for brain templates for their transhumanism program. They made a lot of money off of my brain template. I can guarantee you. Mossbach made a killing. It's really making me upset. That boy's business has gone like you wouldn't believe globally just because of what he did to me. He goes, look what we did to her. Look how it works. And then it was sold.
It's interesting you bring that up as far as, the consciousness into a computer, because Solana and I were talking about that also earlier today, and it reminded me of that movie with Johnny Depp, and I can't remember what it's called. I'm sure somebody out there will cue me in on.
It's the one where he gets into that
I want to say it's transcendental or
Transcendence or something.
Transcendence, that's it.
I didn't see it, but I didn't want to because I think it would have disturbed me because it's too close to probably where I've been.
Well, that's not like the first. I mean, Star Trek had been doing that kind of plot.
Mean, but in this one, I think that the conclusion that I came with you on this, Solana, was that it's just a copy of you. It's not you.
You.
Correct.
And then
personality.
And then also, I guess that led into another conversation about Linda Moulton Howe talking about a story of abductions and where they were supposedly the aliens had these containers of bodies and soul containers, and they would just transfer bodies in and out as needed. But going back to the computer thing, I guess the term would be the singularity, where technology and humans kind of hit that line where you can't tell the difference between the two.
Yeah, I think you're right. Well, would you ever know I was interconnected with an artificial brain? Let me ask you this.
Probably not. I guess what is the term that they use to tell if the computer is AI?
The Turing test?
Yes, the Turing test.
Well, you know what it reminds me of, and what Michael Mossbach really liked was Blade Runner, and he used to compare me to that a lot. I'm like that. Remember the one skin job that was, how many questions does it take, right?
Right, exactly.
I am me. Don't get me wrong, but I was very compatible with that technology. Scary compatible to a point where I could pull it off really well, and they know it.
I can only assume that if I was copied mentally into a computer, that it's just like you would say. I don't think I could survive my copy in a computer. There would be some kind of breakdown, I think, just like in Blade Runner,
yes.
with these machines, because if you start thinking about it, you're transferring. It's dark. I mean, you don't see. I mean, it's your energy basically,
right?
And so that kind of going from what we would be as a mortal skin and all that biologicalness to actually being circuitry, I can only assume that that would really fry my brain, so to speak.
Right. Well, it's also the soul needs to breathe. That's the thing is, and if they take a copy of you, sure, they can insert it into a host, an artificial host, and that's fine, but you're not going to know about it. And the artificial host has no connection to the cosmos. Even if it's an imprint of you, it's an artificial, it's a simulation of you. It's an imitation. It's a cheap imitation, if you ask me. And this is why the soul is a beautiful thing, the spirit. And I'm not talking religion, just consciousness in general. We have a beautiful universal gift of immortality. We are all ancient, whether we realize it or not. You might be alive on one timeline here, but we are old ancient beings that deserve a great, great life. And to me, it's really sad because I see so much of the false matrix and the need to control and manipulate and almost shatter the soul. It seems to me like they were soul torturing with me. And that was really, coming from my spiritual benchmark, I didn't appreciate that at all because it's a disrespect to source, to the creation, to the full light universe.
Indeed. You just made me think of another thing where, what was it you just said? It was, a copy into, it's not real, but...
We're talking about downloading your brain print or your mind or your spirit, into another blanket. But it seemed like to me, because we're both IT people, had IT backgrounds, it's like, well, that's more like transferring a database into another place. Is that it's not really you, it's just experiences and knowledge. It's not really like your personality and your how you would do your thought processes and
exactly
where I was trying to go was that how can we trust our reality if we're in a holographic universe?
But you create it.
I mean, wouldn't, I guess on some level, if being in a machine, that it would be that machine would create? I mean, maybe am I overthinking this or?
No, I think you have a point. But I'll tell you what, mankind's only as good as his inventions, and their technology right now is man. It's basically their communication system. It's their technology. It's their AI. It's their artificial brain. It's created by them. If it's created by a symbiotic intelligence off-world and extraterrestrial, that's a different animal. But what we're dealing with here is some of the stuff that they're doing, which is, some of it's covert CIA, some of it's other stuff. It reminds me of the EEG cloning and heterodyning, as I talked about earlier. But it's literally just an imitation. It's a brain mapping. It's mind mapping. It's brain mapping. It's taking an image and a snapshot of brainwave activity and heterodyning it onto a target or heterodyning it into a communication system so they can utilize it elsewhere. So, no, it's just an imitation. And, we do have, once you start working the path of what I call spirit, or you don't have to be spiritual, but just be intelligent, be aware. You'll understand that certain things are not natural. They're not normal for the cosmos, and certain things are. Right. I'm not saying we're not ascended symbiotic or ascended machines. I know we have the capability, and I know I have the capability to navigate with any type of spacecraft through consciousness. I can move through anything. I know I can, and I can go into levels of this, but I've been in places where I know that I can move through my consciousness and integrate and interact with not only ships, but also through consciousness insofar as navigating to other worlds. And that's complex, and we can get into that another time, but that's the truth of it.
We have capability. You sound like a spiritual black belt.
I am. I guess you can call me a ninja on that level.
A spiritual warrior.
I think they should be careful because I'm not a monster that they created at all, but now I'm just smarter. You know what I mean? It's kind of like, you remember Tron? Remember how smart that computer was getting?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that, I just keep acquiring information, and I'm like, you guys should be really careful misusing covert technology. So, and I'm happy to share it because if it can empower somebody, if it can help somebody along the way, especially if they get hit with something that makes them feel like they're crazy or they're losing it through the type of psychotronic driving system I'm familiar with, then yeah, it's well worth it talking about.
Well, I know we're going to have to let you go kind of soon, maybe a little sooner, but so if you don't mind, I'll just switch gears from your main story and just kind of ask you something more fun or interesting, if you don't mind.
Sure.
We were talking, Space Boy and I, earlier or some time ago about, he had mentioned, he goes, when we go to this con, I wish there was a way you could talk to me without anybody knowing, like having a teleprompter that no one could see. And I was like, "Are you talking about?" I said, "You talking about me communicating with you psychically?" So I could put questions in his mind, and he asks them, and it doesn't all come from me.
Right.
So I was wondering, is is that you have to be? Do you have to kind of be born naturally clairvoyant, or are these abilities that you have to foster? Or if you've got nothing, if you're a blank slate, is that something you will not be capable of?
Well, everybody has an ability to be telepathic naturally. That's a given through your psyche. I will tell that it takes practice insofar as you can easily, both of you could, meditate across from each other and send pictures and see if you can actually transmit and receive. And then also information. The synthetic telepathy is really in your face. It's really harsh at first because it's a live feed real time. It's really intimate. So yeah, you better be married to the person involved. I mean, I might as well feel like I've been married to these guys because it was so intimate. It was like, literally in live feed real time communication. So yeah, if you have the capability to do it, there's no doubt about it. It's just a matter of working this the psychic ability and advancing your own psychic skills. And we're not taught this. I mean, let's face it, people aren't trained. That's the problem. Mm-hmm. They should have been trained as avatars as children, and they're not.
So, Lola, let me ask you a question in regards to the same thing that we're talking about right now. I know this is bizarre, switching it back on you. When you feel... Okay, let me ask you this. Okay, let me get my thoughts together here.
I have no idea what he's doing.
Here we go. Sonic drink.
Oh, well, that's just,
I know, but you put an idea out there in your mind to see if I would do that, to pick you up a drink.
Yeah, it's such a
without even calling me
psychic
and whatever.
Ability.
Yes, bring me a drink.
It's like I want a milkshake. Take me to Sonic, and it works.
That was another time when I, out of the blue, I hadn't called her, whatever, and I said, I'm going to stop by Sonic. I don't know why. I'm going to get her a milkshake. I just have this feeling that she wants a milkshake, and picked her up a drink. Came in through the front door, and it was like, how did you know, kind of thing. And so my question leads to this.
Well,
has there been other times...
There's never not going to be a time I don't want that.
I know,
so,
but that's true. But has there been any other times where you've mentally suggested something and then I hit it on the spot?
I don't know about that, but I think it's because we've just known each other so long. Mm-hmm. We're in tune. Like we can do that finish each other's sentences thing at times, and I know him so well. I mean, I did something for him today, and I was building something for him today. I was like, this is something he would say. And then I put it up there, and he goes, oh, that is perfect. I said, yeah, because I know you. And I know your ego.
Oh,
yeah, your auras are connected. When you're intimate with a partner, you obviously blend auras when you're sleeping together, so that's normal. So you naturally have an empathic connection on some levels. And also, your abilities, Sir Lana, is to remote influence people. I'm pretty sure you have some really cool abilities. Now, once you start trying to push those a little bit more, you'll find that you have a lot more behind the scenes than what you realize.
That's a gift I don't.
You have it.
I would not use it for good.
In full disclosure here, I'm going to tell you that she is like the wolf in sheep's clothing. She's there and she's quiet at times, but when she's ready to pounce on her prey, she comes out with both guns blazing.
I work in higher education. Do you know the damage I could do? As she said gleefully.
Hey, let's take our bottom of the hour break, and when we return, we'll talk more with Solaris BlueRaven before she has to go. But she's going to spend at least 15 more minutes with us, quality time. So you're listening to SpaceboyUniverse.com. Don't go anywhere, everybody. Yes, you're jamming to SpaceboyUniverse.com. The number is 713-701-5214. Talk to the lovely Sirlana or Spaceboy or even Solaris while she's still here.
I'm so pleased you didn't get all that mixed up.
Yes, I know. Sometimes I'm just like a laser, just focused. So, we have a few more minutes left with you. Do you want to, Sirlana, do you want to throw her a curveball or something different out of left field than what we've been talking about? Just something out of the blue? Or
Well, I got that in about, how you can maybe connect if you're not, well-versed in the being psychic. Is there a difference between being clairvoyant and being psychic, or is that just the same way to describe the same thing?
Well, it goes to many levels. I mean, the clairvoyant is usually when you have everything going on. Insofar as you hear the audio, you can hear things on a multidimensional scale. You've got the psychic vision going. You have all abilities, the clairvoyant, the clairaudient, all these things incorporate into just a higher level of psychic ability and a more advanced level, if you ask me. It also has a lot to do with the practice people do insofar as their abilities and how they fine-tune them. Just like remote viewing. I mean, I know they militarize the remote viewing, but literally it's the same thing. They don't want to say that, and Ed Dames will scream about it, but they basically hijack psychic abilities, and then they use their artificial intelligence program to streamline psychic ability to a point where it gets fine-tuned for types of remote accessing and things. So, yeah. It's pretty much, to me, it's all the same. It's just a matter of levels of consciousness and how we define the consciousness and how we're able to navigate in each one.
So so can you see something that's going to happen and it happens, or can get something like you get a feeling and then maybe you don't know what it is and it happens? I was just trying to differentiate you and our precog friend.
Oh, right. Yeah. Well, in the old days, I would get all sorts of stuff. I used to keep a book, too, of things that I know, like Dreamtime premonitions, and they were always accurate. And a lot of my my radar was always switched on and very spot on. And when I got integrated with the technology, they tried to run interference an awful lot. In other words, every time I pushed through a firewall, they tried to push back. Mm-hmm. And so they were definitely, in my opinion, concerned about my access. But I still can get through things, and I still have the radar. I've got like a laser beam knowing now. I don't go through a lot of stuff because I'm so used to artificial intelligence and artificial telepathy that I don't listen. I tune out the dialogues. I tune out a lot of things, and I just transcend to a point where I have the laser beam, and my knowing navigates me. It's the cosmic compass for me. I get past the barriers of every interference pattern that could be possibly there.
All right, so I'm going to change it up real quick. Solaris, what's on your playlist right now? What are you listening music-wise?
Music? I'm listening to your music, Space Boy.
I knew you were going to say that, and I appreciate it.
It's true. You were just on my show last night. Hyperspace.
But I mean, you remember the video you just sent us.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
There's a song at the end of the video, and I have not played it back to find out what the song was. Is it Underwater?
Or is it mysterious?
No, and I'm trying to remember it. Oh my gosh, and they're going to kill me for not remembering that song. It's the one with the girl singing, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, they're a group out of Greece. Actually, they did that song for me. Well, they actually created that song, and then I had them put it on my documentary, and I'll have to get you the information. I'm so sad that
I could play the thing back. I thought maybe you could settle this argument we were having because it was like I was saying the song is called Underwater, and she was saying it was what?
Mysterious something, because the woman was singing the word mysterious.
Yeah, but I thought I saw Underwater something.
Yeah,
so.
that's another.
Yeah, it's not Underwater. No, the mysteries of the universe are mysterious. Oh my God, he's going to kill me.
The important thing is I won.
Point goes to Sirlana. Okay, all right.
Get out your scorecards. Please put a check mark under my name.
Oh my gosh, you guys, they're going to just nail me. I know I'm going to hear from the guy who wrote that.
All right, so my next random topic is from our game category. Is there a game that you enjoy like to play on the PC, or is it a board game?
Like doing
my whole life's been a game. I realized that being interconnected with artificial intelligence, my whole life was a virtual game. So I used to like old-fashioned stuff. Mask of Eternity is a corny one, but that was my favorite game to play.
Mm-hmm.
And I used to like to get this, everybody, and this is really old school, but Lego Racers, the racing car?
Yes.
I love those, and I used to like those quite a bit. So yeah, those are my cheesy games.
There is nothing wrong with a cheesy game if it entertains you. I go back old school. One of my all-time favorites is Donkey Kong, and I could play that for hours upon hours. And and of course my father loved playing chess. and try to teach me. And I'm an okay chess player, but he could play that for hours.
Nobody would play Scrabble with me.
No, I love Scrabble too. I used to play that. Yeah. Before I was inducted, I had a life, you guys. I used to do a lot of cool stuff.
The thing is about Scrabble is why I could not sit there for long periods of time to play against her. But now they have it on
Steam.
PC. So I had it on my machine that crashed, and I haven't installed it on another machine. But I have played some games with you on Scrabble.
Because he can multitask.
I can multitask. I can do things and sit in a comfortable chair instead of a wooden chair at a table or something like that. So yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So, but let's see here. Well, let me spin the wheel here again. Anybody from history that you admire, or a point in history that you find significant anytime?
Well, Tesla's my favorite of all life forms. I would say he's one of my favorites, just because of his great inventions and his brilliant mind and his capabilities are just phenomenal. So I'd say he's probably, if I had to meet someone on a timeline, he would be the one.
And who would win in a fight between Tesla and Thomas Edison?
Oh, I can't stand Edison, so I'm all for Tesla. Sorry, I know people are out there liking Edison. I'm like, no way.
Great.
Well, we did shows, 2 separate shows on each, and I still say that Edison did not come out smelling like a rose by any means. So.
Well, he was a businessman, and he thought in business terms.
He was a venture capitalist.
Yes, exactly.
Whereas Tesla wasn't. It wasn't about that.
All he wanted to do was
create
and give the world, something that would free them.
Exactly, and they weaponized it instead.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So let's see here. Do you have a good one there, Solana?
Well, we've covered technology and music.
Mm-hmm. We hit games and history, and what about something from the fringe science category that maybe we could just pick her brain?
You ever heard or experienced a story that was just mind-blowing beyond your own personal experiences?
So, are you asking me a question?
Yeah.
So, what's the question again? I'm sorry.
Outside of your own life, have you ever been?
I mean, because your life is pretty extraordinary.
Yeah.
Yes.
But was there like something outside of this, a story that you've heard or that comes to mind that you think, wow, that was really an interesting story, a powerful story?
Someone else's personal experience?
Well, personal experience, an event, or.
You know, I can't really say that. I know that sounds kind of sad, but I really can't say that. I've done a lot of research, and it seems like I spent a lot of years just investigating technologies and stuff that I was exposed to. So, yeah.
Well, I guess we stumped her in a way, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so.
Well, I guess what we're going to do is, I know that you've got to get out of here a little early because you've got a show coming up at 11 our time, but 12 p.m. Midnight your time. Solana, you want to give the audience some information so they can tune in after our show?
We've got that up here. Well, why don't we let her do it? She
knows
best.
Sorry.
That's fine. Yeah, it's Raven Star's Witching Hour at freedomslips.com, Studio A. 12 midnight Eastern Standard Time, and of course my special guest is Patrick Scott Sporer. Thank you both, Space Boy and Sir Lana, for introducing me to Patrick. It's going to be a great show, and I want to thank you both for having me on tonight. It's been a pleasure to be interviewed by both of you.
Hopefully you'll be back, and we'll talk about some other stuff.
Anytime.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So, you're a friend of the show, so don't hesitate to give us a call whenever you need something.
Excellent. Well, thank you. And likewise, that goes my way, too. Door swings both ways.
Okay. Well, I guess on that note, we'll let you go so you can do your show.
Okay.
And we'll talk to you soon.
Great. Thank you, and have a great weekend.
You too.
Bye.
Yeah, I'm cool.
He's been holding that in for a while.
Man, I was like that. That when you make it across, it's like, there's the finish line. You got any liquid over there I can sip out of?
It's water.
At this point, I don't care as long as it's not that Gold Peak tea thing.
No, it's water with high C powder in it to make it taste like Hawaiian punch or rather.
Yeah, that is so delicious.
Let me
tell you. I didn't bring my big drink in here.
You can just keep it over there till we're
I appreciate it. Hey, I want to wish one of our space cadets a happy birthday. Cortana is.
Is it her birthday?
Yeah.
Well, I know they're talking about Bev's is tomorrow.
Bev's is tomorrow. Well, happy early birthday to Bev. And so I wanted to get a few Space Cadets.
Cortana, if it's your birthday coming up, we don't want to
I thought it was today.
you.
If not, I guess the Space Cadets can correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, it's been hard to watch chat and stay focused because,
Yeah, with Solaris BlueRaven, you have to be on your game to talk to her because she is a wealth of information. And I'm surprised that, I'm not surprised that nobody called in because, you know, they were definitely listening.
Oh, she says, Cortana says her birthday's in November. Happy, really
super early birthday.
Because what if we forget when we get there?
Cortana, mine's the 18th. I'm a Scorpio too.
November 18th. He was born on November 18th. I was born on April 18th.
Mm-hmm. And so there you go. A little bit about our birthdays. So if that comes up, you'll know when to wish us happy birthday. Anyway, so if
I personally don't care about
Bev's birthday tomorrow, then, you know, super happy birthday to Bev. You know, that's great. The 15th. All right. It's nice to know. Oh, plus, let's see what else we got here. Oh, see, there you go. Bev just said, thank you, Space Boy. So.
Well, after tonight, everything will be solely focused on prepping for Comic Palooza.
Comic Palooza. Hold on, let me do this right. Comic Palooza. Wait, I guess that didn't work out. Comic Palooza? No, that's the wrong one. This is my evil voice that I like to talk to. This.
When you're being Satan.
Tomorrow is Bev's birthday. Anyway.
That amuses me way too much.
I know. I enjoy that too. I had it on the echo effect, but somehow it got on the devil effect, and then I guess it worked perfectly with Bev's birthday coming up tomorrow. So,
honey, where's that Satan setting?
Well, isn't that special? So, but let's see here. Yeah, so next Saturday we're going to be at Comic Palooza, yes, and we got a super secret email from people, and we can't talk about it, and just know that we're going, and Solana's over there like getting ready to throw something. Yeah,
don't talk about it. Don't talk about it.
No, I'm just saying we got an email. That's all you need to know.
Exciting.
It's exciting, and which that excitement leads to Saturday, and
we'll tell you all about it Saturday, or if you don't hear from us, check the local hospital.
Yes, exactly. So, but yeah, we're jazzed. We can't wait to get there and do our thing. So
you can still call in. We've still got 15 minutes. 713-701-5214. Just say hi or what's going on.
Now I know this week we've done Beta Week here at Spaceboy Universe, where Monday, Tuesday, pretty much the week
every day but Wednesday.
Wednesday was Spaceboy Music, just because Kay started crying about it, and we
weren't going to do it. We were going to take a night off.
He was taking a tantrum, and I said, "Go to your room, young man, if you're going to behave that way." And he looked at me like that cat from Shrek, and I said, "Okay, I'll play Spaceboy Music on Wednesday." And so, basically, what it comes down to is we've had a show 6 days this week. And, including today's show. What that was so that we could test the waters to see if we were capable of doing a show at least 5 days. And, it just turns out it was 6 days. At some future point, we might consider doing Spaceboy Universe more than one day. But we wanted to test how bad it would be for just the shows that we did.
It's intense.
It is intense, and you got to really be on your game. But at least those last 2 days, we got to talk to Jim Malliard, and we got to talk to Gordon, friend of the show, which is great. And if you just called, please try to call again.
Please try to call again. He wasn't paying attention.
I was so busy, engrossed in trying to communicate things on the air. So, but yeah, the week wasn't too bad. So look forward to, in the near future, Spaceboy Universe expanding to more days, but we'll just have to wait and kind of play it from there and see how it goes. Caller, you are on the air. Who's this?
Hi.
Hello, early birthday girl. So you're going to be turning 23, right?
I wish I was.
Yeah, me too.
Me 3.
No, I'll be 58.
Well, that's not too bad. Yeah, that's good. You're still a youngster.
I'm an
youngling.
I'm an old woman.
Oh, you're not that old.
So how you been doing? You and Bob were tardy tonight.
Mm-hmm.
I know. I was doing a lot of work around the house, and I just got too tired with the heat and humidity. I kind of fell asleep.
Heat and humidity up in Ohio? What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Have you ever been to Tejas?
Been where?
Texas.
Houston in the summer?
Oh yeah, it's Sweatyville here. Well, of course, Solana will tell you that I don't sweat, and she hates me for
well,
it.
he's not from this planet.
Yeah, I'm not from this planet.
It's whatever temperatures. It's warm enough. It's bringing out the wasps, and I cannot deal with it. I can't deal with it.
Oh, it's hard for me to deal with the heat.
Mm-hmm.
And you need to, if you're within striking distance of Bob, you probably need to smack him right now.
I know.
Did you see what he was?
Oh, Bob. She is not 757 years old, Bob.
How do you put up with that, Bev?
I just kind of consider the source.
So do you got a big...
Hey, after...
Go ahead.
After 30 years, I just kind of chalk it off to something.
So are you going to have a little birthday party tomorrow?
Nah.
No?
Oh, we're going to go over to his brother's.
Uh-huh. What, any barbecue? Any good eatings?
Don't know.
Well, I would at least have somebody feed you. I mean, it is...
Oh, they'll feed me.
That sounds good. We can be there, in 8 hours?
Do what now?
We can be there in 8 hours for the barbecue?
Yeah, for the barbecue.
Oh, no, not 8 hours. Can't leave our doggies that long.
No, we could be there
No, we
to
could be
join
there.
you.
Oh, you could be there in 8 hours.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Spaceboy loves barbecue. He doesn't get it enough here.
I don't get enough here. Usually, we eat more Mexican food and Chinese food, and being from Texas, honestly, when I married Sirlana, somehow my trips to the barbecue place kind of disappeared.
Well, unfortunately, we live in an area of Houston where there just isn't decent barbecue.
Well, you say that about catfish, and I understand catfish being from Louisiana, but I know that there's some great Texas barbecue around here.
I haven't had it yet.
Oh.
As soon as I find
I
it,
haven't had it yet.
when I find it, I'll let y'all know about it.
Oh, you're just wrong. Well, anything,
God.
Bev? Is there anything you want to add? Did you enjoy the show tonight, or what you got to hear?
Yeah, I did.
Well, I want to tell you.
You talk really fast.
Oh.
I mean, you have to really listen good.
Well, she had a reason for that, so it's good, fine to learn. She has to get things out quickly before somebody tries to jam her signals.
She is great to listen to, and she is one awesome lady, and we were glad to get her on the show tonight. But speaking of getting on the show, I want to tell you that between you and Bob, we appreciate the heck out of you. And I just wanted to say thank you for being a loyal listener to Spaceboy Universe, and you do make Sirlana and myself, our evening, go wonderful. So thank y'all.
Aw. Well, thank you guys.
Mm-hmm.
And your support.
I love listening to you.
Well, good. All right, well, Bev, we're going to let you go, but we love you, dear, and like I said, happy birthday to you.
Well, thank you, and we love you, too.
All right.
We're blasting you on social media tomorrow.
Hugs and hugs.
Okay. Hugs to you guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Yeah, you better blush, Bob.
She's coming for you, Bob, now that she's off the phone.
She's headed your way.
But yeah, what a night tonight. This
Another
is
good one.
This is like the icing on the cake today.
I was like, how do you follow that? What do I ask after that? Man.
Yeah. I do love the fact that she definitely goes off onto a tangent and knows her stuff, and she's just a fascinating interview.
And she said that music we were talking about, the song is called Greatest Mystery by Netrino. That's Netrino.
Well, there you go. We plug
to let our listeners know.
Plug the music. Let's see, what else do we have on the agenda? So, yeah, the 18th we have Comic Palooza.
We don't even know what's going to happen.
Yeah, it's all up in the air. But just know that you're going to be able to live through our experiences through YouTube and of course, the show when we talk about it.
Or it could be a bunch of babbling nonsense.
Now,
because we're going to be tired.
Now, this weekend we have that, but this coming weekend. But the following weekend, we'll have Reverend John Polk on, and that should be interesting and talking about his experiences. And so that'll be definitely another fascinating show to tune into on the 25th. And we're working on some other surprises as we move along. We've invited Gordon Roop to come back on August 6th to talk about the Jim Jones book that he's written, and getting back into the cult situation.
That's where they get the phrase "Don't drink the Kool-Aid."
Yeah,
right?
don't drink the Kool-Aid.
From that
exactly
circumstance.
So that'll be another interesting conversation that we have with Gordon, and of course we'll open up the phone lines on that night so you can pick his brain. We're looking at our schedule board, and we don't want to give anything else out, but just know that
we got some things scheduled.
They're percolating, and it should be all good in the neighborhood, as we like to say here. Let's see. Was there any housekeeping we need to do to say, Sir Lana?
We got it covered, K28. Thanks.
Okay. Yeah, so... I
don't know. We've never had this happen before.
Yeah, we're
I'll go back to...
We've got a couple minutes left, so...
We'll go back to the stuff that we didn't get to for banter. So, you're just like, oh, you got anything for banter? Like, no, I was too busy doing other things, so I looked up a few things real quick.
What do you have there?
$936 million. What's that figure for? $936 million. What am I referring to?
I guess for the sake of time, I'm going to say, I don't know. What?
That is the gross for the Star Wars Force Awakens because it has finally left theaters.
So
that is its box office.
So it's not more than $1 billion?
$936 million for box office.
So I wonder if that's the domestic take-in.
It is.
Yeah,
the domestic.
Yeah, because when you add the worldwide totals, that puts it over $1 billion.
That's domestic.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's interesting you bring that up because remember we were talking about the Star Wars story, Rogue One. They're having to shoot 40% more of that film.
Yeah.
And, I guess Disney is like, this doesn't look good. And so I've heard rumors to the effect that they want to put that guy that's going to be playing the young Han Solo in it. And, of course, it's got Darth Vader in it. And supposedly the movie takes place all the way up until like 10 minutes before A New Hope. So, I guess they've got a lot of money riding on this movie to be a success. So.
Oh, and we're also hoping in the next month we can reconnect with Manu Intiraymi and talk about his latest project he's really excited about. And
the Circuit.
If you don't recall, he is the gentleman that played Icheb, one of the young Borg kids on Star Trek Voyager, and just a cool guy. So hoping we can get to have him back maybe July 23rd?
Yeah, around that time, yeah. 23rd sounds correct, yes.
Yeah, hopefully that won't be too late for him. And maybe he can bring along some of the cast members for his latest project is The Circuit, which is sounds really cool. I think it's going to be fiction and maybe a few nonfiction stories that's happened at conventions. And it just sounds really cool and original, and we're stoked about it, too.
Yeah, it'll be nice to have him back on the show. It's been a while since we talked to him last, and which leads to other Trek things that we have coming down the pipe in August. And like I said, I don't want to give too much out of the way, but just know that we are loading up the board with fine program that you can enjoy and listen to and interact with. right here on spaceboyuniverse.com. So with that note, I guess I play the outro music and we can get out of here.
Say goodnight, Space Boy.
Good night, Space Boy.
Spaceboy Universe is hosted by Spaceboy and Sir Lana. Executive producer is Sir Lana. Producer credit goes out to Dennis Koch. Find Spaceboy at spaceboymusic.com and spaceboyuniverse.com. This has been a Spaceboy Universe production. You have reached your final destination. Good night, Space Cadets.